Mr. Barik brings journalistic depth and regional insight into the digital innovation space. His moderation bridges visionary discourse with grounded realities in Odisha's emerging tech landscape. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for all our panelists along with the moderator of the session, IT and AI Conclave.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bartaman Samere AI বা অটোমেশন ইন্টেলিজেন্স বর্তমান সময়ে প্রায়তঃ প্রতিটি ক্ষেত্রে নিজ উপস্থিতি জাহির করেছে সমস্তଙ୍କ মନରେ গোটিଏ প্রশ্ন যে এআই আগামী দিନରେ প্রতিটি ক্ষেত্রକୁ কেতে দূর প্রভাবিত করিব তেবে আসন্তু এইভଳି ଏକ গুরুত্বপূর্ণ বিষয়বস্তু উপরে আমি ସମସ୍ତେ আলোকপাত করিবা এআই এন্ড আইটি তেবে আসন্তু এআই র কোন রোল অবদান রয়েছে আইটি ক্ষেত্রে এই বিষয়ে আমি ସମସ୍ତେ আলোচনা পর্যালোচনা করিবা and I take this opportunity to request Shri Charan Singh Barik to please take the session ahead. Good luck.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this power-packed session of insights, foresights, and of course, a little bit of hindsight as well. I welcome all my panelists. Thank you for being here. As all of us know that India has arrived actually, not only in the field of IT, but also in the field of manufacturing other as well. And automation happens to be a big buzzword today. And AI is largely attributed to the large-scale automation that the industry is going through. India is no longer catching up. It's no longer playing the following game. Rather, it's co-creating history, future as well at the same time. So I'd like to ask you, all my panelists, I mean, what exactly do you think when it comes to automation and AI at this moment? One sentence. And how is it either complicating or accelerating your story in your respective sectors? If you can please enlighten one by one in one sentence. So, Dr. Rath, let's start from you.
One sentence is very difficult, but I would tell that AI is not artificial intelligence, but augmented intelligence to human being. So I think that's one sentence.
So AI helps in a transition from industry 4.0 to 5.0 very fast. The time dimension from moving from 4.0 to 5.0 extremely fast. If you look into the history, moving from 1.0 to 2.0 till 4.0, it was taking long time, maybe 100 years plus. But if you now look into post-pandemic, with AI, the transition is extremely fast from 4.0 to 5.0.
Yes, sir. Mr. Jaswal, please.
Yeah, good evening, and first of all, I congratulate Interview Times for this fabulous first-time CEO conference here, Conclave. And thank you very much to you for putting together this panel on this contemporary subject. So before I answer your question, just to give a context, in 2000, total IT exports of India was around $6 billion. And last year, we achieved more than $200 billion. See the growth, right? And the growth is not only revenue numbers, before I answer your question, it is towards building a huge ecosystem as well of talent and capability, infrastructure, everything around that, right? And when you see today, we have a world-class, public digital infrastructure, UPI everybody uses, right? With thriving startup ecosystem, which basically creates so many job creators rather than everybody becoming a job seeker, right? This is what happened in a country. And our own homegrown IT or AI innovation adoption in various industries across, whether it's called 5G or IoT, or many other things, right? You talk about it, it's happening there. So to answer your question in one line, if I had to say that, my friend Anirudh Datta wrote a book, 500 Million Rising. It's about women coming to workforce. So I just borrow from him because he's my friend. I would say that how we see today is that it's a billion people, billion dreams are getting coded in reality to transform the IT industry. I bring to IT industry, which is largely service driven, to something which is more scalable, something which is more sovereign, and which is something driven towards social innovation. This is the thing which I see from India point of view.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. That was a brilliant answer from all of you indeed. So I mean, is AI democratizing or dividing in your respective fields? I mean, does it flatten the gap or widen the gap? One by one, all of you.
Technology as such doesn't do any kind of initiative in itself, like democratizing or creating a kind of a conservative goal.
If you could raise your mic, please.
Conservative goal, but rather how we use basically the technology to achieve our goal. For example, like OECD, which is essentially this is a organization for economic cooperation and development. They have basically formulated 5 goals for AI, particularly to make it inclusive, transparent, and also accountable. So India also accepts this, and also India's policy of AI and security privacy, they all guided by this particular principle. So essentially how we drive AI system, particularly in our jobs, particularly in our skilling, that is very, very important. In fact, to give a figure, like by 2030, almost like 40% of the jobs which are currently there, they will vanish. But then there would be jobs, but people would need to get reskilled. So jobs need to be redesigned for our new generation. That is, I think, one of the first goal that we should have.
Sir, please go ahead.
Let me give a very simple example. To make understand AI, everybody has their own perspective. So if you talk about AI, how we practice every day, we have 23 hours, 56 minutes every day. We call it 24 hours solar day. So if you need to complete a 500 pages document to read and take a decisions, so usually take 3 to 4 days. Now with AI, you can finish it in less than a minute. You have 3 decisions or 4 decisions available for you. So which means you move from a one time dimension to another time dimension, from a 3 days to a fraction of minutes. So that's the beauty of AI. Now if you take this concept and apply it to any industry or any field, so AI is not going to change reducing the job perspectives or people will be jobless or it is going to replace people. No. See, to make this AI works, you need lot of minds. So what will happen is that a mind will move from one time dimension to another time dimensions, which means the education institutions, our course curriculum, all this thing has to change from one dimension to another dimension, which will cope up with AI. Like, that is the changes which is going to happen, and we need to foresee and change everything in our life from moving one time dimension to another time dimension. Until unless you do that, you will never realize the value of AI.
Sir, if you can, please.
So your question is whether it is democratizing society or users or making it more centralized, right? So basically, AI is technology or a tool. We have to see from that perspective. And it's up to the users how they use it. So if you see that the application, so to say, it is giving, let us say, access to services. Services could be healthcare services or education services to masses. It's cutting down the divide between rural and urban, right? That's a lot of things happening around. However, because before we talk to AI, we have to see on what basis the AI works, or even generative AI, we talk about on what basis it works. If the data is not proper, the content is not good, if the bias is not removed, if ethical concern is not taken care of it's quite possible it can shift totally different direction altogether. So it is democratic in the sense that, take example of poor people in the rural areas can have access of low-cost credit, which was not happening earlier because data is sanitized and their credit worthiness is proven through AI system, but not done well. It can go two different directions. To give an example, when internet came, possibly everyone knew that internet made information democratic, access to everyone. But what happened subsequently? It led to an autocratic organization. Big organization came up, right, who were totally centralized, right? Because what happened? Because we got something free, we became the product, we started giving the data to some entities in such a number that those become very autocratic. So it depends how we use it, what kind of policy interventions are made, what kind of guardrails are put there, what kind of biases removed, trainings are done to the data. That will define it to become more autocratic or democratic.
So, ladies and gentlemen, it's more like, in the race between man and machine, it's not man versus machine. Rather, it's man with machine versus man without machine, if I put it properly. And as Mr. Uday Bhanu talked about, moving from one dimension to the other, right? Time is an important dimension, right? Now, raising the concern, let's say a musician puts in a lot of painstaking effort to create music, but if you give a proper prompt, AI does it in a jiffy, right? Similarly, there are a lot of professions as such. So, how are we supposed to address this disruption that's happening around?
You take it otherwise. Okay. So today, if I want to write a code, a particular problem, like let's take a live examples of current geopolitical issues, and we need to design air defense systems, and we need to develop a lot of products, right? So think otherwise, not in this side, that okay, I took a lot of pain writing a code, and what will happen with AI? AI is going to help you correct those errors in a very fast way. To correct an error, sometimes it takes years and years, right? With AI, you can correct your errors. So if you take it positive way, that if I'm, developing a music or developing a code for a particular application to use, with AI, you can correct your errors. So you are near perfection, agility will be there, flexibility is there, defendability will be there. So if you take AI in a very positive way, you can develop immensely potential product in medical health science, defense, aerospace, any field, even agriculture also. It can predict the crop health also through image processing. So we need to think in a positive way that how fast we can correct our error, and we develop product with near perfection, with absolute perfect.
So what you're saying basically is we are supposed to consider it positively and ignoring the bane part of it, right?
Absolutely.
And find a way, right? Now, next question is for Mr. Jaiswal. If you could please enlighten, there's a lot of AI-driven automation that's happening in your industry as well, right? And through a lot of AI tools we have, like Midjourney, ChatGPT, Grok, Claudia, a lot of AI tools, a lot of things are happening. Are they just hype, or there's a real transformation beneath this hype as well?
Okay, from hype point of, there's no hype. There might be hype from an investment angle, because quite possible that money is going different valuations, and a lot of people chasing it. There could be hype there, but that's not a topic of discussion. Coming back to technology as such as application, the real thing happening, the real problems are being solved. And issue is not automation as such, the issue is more of intelligent automation. So repetitive tasks getting automated, we have seen over the years that manual calculation is becoming calculator. That's happening, and that will happen, right? So it is very much happening, the intelligent automation happening. So what basically means is that it is solving a real problem, which is a repetitive problem. Problem has complex, hand holding. For example, we work a lot in supply chain function, where multiple hand holding happens when you move a good from a place to place B, right? That is always automated through a file system. But to detect an error, you take 7 days, right? Diagnostic part. But available data through AI tools, this intelligent automation can detect the error in a fraction of seconds. So whole time goes in remedial action rather than diagnostic part of it. So a lot of things happening there. Now, second part on the AI tools or models we're talking about, is also an issue that, just to clarify here, a lot of people, and it comes from various places, use these tools or the models, Perplexity or Claudia or Mistral, as a or ChatGPT replacement of search engine of Google. Google gives X answer, this gives Y answer. These are not a search engine. When you put a question, put a prompt on that, they don't give an answer as search engine. They give an answer which initiate workflows, which initiate decision-making process, which initiates learning context. So we have to see this kind of effect happening in industry from these angles, because it helps to solve a real problem. And the challenge for us, for human, as you said, that has to grow up in the value chain to become more creative, use these as a tool to augment their own capabilities.
So here, how do we ensure AI doesn't just, get used in a smart manner, but also it becomes human-centric? That's my question, sir. Yeah, Mr.
Yeah,
Jaswal, please.
so that's the thing. Of course, AI is a tool given to human being, give a smarter solution, right? So what is being done and is done across industry, that AI has everything possibly, but AI cannot smell, right? So to put emotions in AI solution, put empathy in AI solution, using psychologists, right? More, people who are connected to the ground, coming to the coding side of it. So that the answer is not smart solution, but answer is to get a more relevant and related solution. So that the the solution coming out with AI tools is more trustworthy and more transparent. So what we do, as I said, put empathy in decision making of the designing of the software, empathy and emotions. Second part, on larger basis, the government also does, and companies also do that, to create some frameworks of transparency or explainability, to work more towards removing the biases. Because smart answers come through, put any large language model, but that is not going to solve your problem, because I ask everyone, use any large language model. After question number 3, it will hallucinate. You will have no answer to you, correct? Because it doesn't have the emotions, doesn't get the context.
So here, what I see is there's a gap in terms of, maintaining balance between having a proper law regarding the misuse of AI, and AI also advancing quite faster at the same time. There's always a gap. So how do we basically address this conundrum or confusion that we have? Sir, all of you can please answer this one by one, because I understand your experience is different from the other. Yeah.
Can you rephrase the question?
The question is, we are pretty delayed when it comes to having law regarding the misuse of any machine that comes up, right? So AI is advancing so fast. So are there law and proper law in place to basically have checks and balances so that we can curb the offenders?
AI, first thing is I would say effect of AI is underestimated at the current level. So we are speaking about how much it is hyped, but I would say that we are really not ready to understand the impact AI is going to create in the next couple of years. There are 4 aspects that we are finding gap. One is AI is no longer just software. You have to include hardware evolution or advancement in hardware making, particularly very, very critical for AI usage. And next is the energy, supplying energy to these data centers, the large scale computation facilities is another big gap that we have essentially to the success of AI. The third is the law has come up. Of course, like even Odisha, the state of our state already has AI policy. But I would always argue or advocate that we must look at technologies very holistically, like security, privacy, sustainability of the technologies, and the accessibility of the technologies, because there is a huge percentage of our population, every population has some disabilities, to make sure that it is accessible to all the entire population. That is the another aspect of any technology. The last thing I would say that the talent
That's nicely put, point-wise. I really appreciate the structure that you put it out properly. My next question to Uday Bhanuji. I'd like to ask you, in the field of aerospace, it's more of stringent compliances, because space is a place wherein there's no room for failure, right? Slight error here and there, and all hell may break loose, right? And when it comes to innovation, innovation is something you have to make mistake. That's the necessity actually. So how do you address this tension?
Basically, like with AI, we reduce the errors. How many mistake you make when you develop a product? So it reduces the development cycles. It minimizes the error you make in the process of developing a product. And eventually, you develop a better product which is more flexible, agile for future threats. Okay, and if you look into, like, I would like to also address the previous questions. It's very hard to restrict AI in any legal boundaries because technology has no boundaries. We human have boundaries. Okay. Now coming back to how we can restrict, we can only decide who is going to use, how he is going to use, when he is going to use, and where he is going to use. Only these human factors you put in the legal boundaries, and then you control, manage, and manipulate, or effectively use AI uses. That is the legal factor you can take into consideration. But minus this, it's very hard to put any technology into a legal framework because technology as such has no boundaries. Okay, right. Second, the best uses of AI from a government point of view, like if you need to produce a state budget, okay. Nobody has tried, but let's try this time producing a budget with AI. You see how amazing it is. It will cover almost every single minute element of a state for a overall development of the state. Nobody has done it, but sometimes we should try it. It's really amazing technology to use, creating a budget for the state, creating a health policy for the state, creating an education policy for the state, because it gives you a lot of dimensions which a human brain cannot think in, when you design these things.
Now I'd like to ask Mr. Jaswal, like, of course, because AI is knocking the door, and it's knocking the door hard, right, actually, and a bit of reskilling is needed. So as an employer, how do we address reskilling? Because we have heard that AI is something that is replacing developers. Is it true? And if it is true, are we moving them up the value chain?
Yeah,
So there are two parts of this. One is reskilling, and the other part is about these developers being replaced by AI.
Of course, we talked multiple places that AI can do code check, can write code. They are co-pilot of GitHub, which can give 55%, development time coming down. That's fine, that's okay. But keep in mind a high level, again, AI as a tool or technology is replacing task, not the talent, just fundamental thing. It's replacing task, a particular task, right? So talent will exist, right? Only thing they have to grow up in value chain, right? I just said, make it more, invest more time in designing, more creative work, removing the biases. That the work has to be done, right? That's where the work is going on. And that happened over the period. The tools have always come to assist mankind to make it more efficient. So we should not see AI or say machine, either AI or a developer. Developer has to work along with AI to find a better solution. By the way, today if you want to hire an AI engineer, 75% skill set is developer skill set. 25% only AI skill set. Is the developer only becoming AI engineer? Nobody else. Unless the new requirement, because he's a manual tester, not growing up in upskilling, then there is a problem for him or her. Coming back to employer, that's huge challenge for us because it's driven through, because we exist to solve a particular problem of a customer, right? We have to become more efficient. Therefore, we have to reskill, upskill the people. That's the challenge we have it. And we must take this challenge because it happened over the years. It's not a new thing. Only to have a mindset, we should not think AI has come and take all the job. It doesn't happen that way. When I just said in the beginning, when I started, when software industry came to India, there is huge hue and cry, the software will take all the job, right? Automation. Our exports was $6 billion. Today, $200 billion. Domestic things also gone up. I'm just talking exports. Employment is the largest employer. 10% of GDP comes through software industry. 10% of GDP is of such a large GDP we have, right? Number 4 in the world, 4%. We are 20% of the international global outsourcing services. So it doesn't take away the job. It's all about building talents. It's all upskilling. It's all about staying relevant to the problems of the real world. That's the challenge.
Okay. So my last question to all of you is, as far as the US is concerned, it's way ahead. China recently has this something called DeepSeek, right? What is happening with India? Like, are we able to catch up, or we are destined to be adapters only? Yep. All of you can answer one by one, please.
I would basically say there has been quite a lot of advancement has come from USA and China in the AI domain. In fact, if you really look at the number of research papers which have come up in the last 1 year from China, it has surpassed even USA and the entire Western countries. So, but India doesn't need to be panic as such, because we have education system which has actually produced number of CEOs across the world, particularly in the digital technology domain. And in the service sector, we have been quite good, particularly in the IT sphere, recognized around the globe. We have a soft power across in the different domains, whether it is Western hemisphere or Eastern hemisphere. Even China also recognizes that. We need to build on it, and we need to fill the gap, particularly as I mentioned regarding the hardware advancement. That is very, very important, and also streamlining the energy purposing, that is also very important. And we don't need to copy the policy from different countries. We should come up with an integrated policy which should be eye-opener for European industry to invest in.
Got it, sir. Mr. Jaiswal and Mr. Udayan, do you have different perspectives on this?
I have a very simple perspective. We have to make our innovation fast. We have to make our mind into reality. We have to bring our mind into reality. We have a lot of things on conceptual stage. We have a lot of research papers. But when you look into the product development, we have very less. So the time to get the product ready and available for a national use has to be very fast. For that, I think the major contribution should come from the academic side than the industry side, because industry is helpless end of the day without the resources from the academic, right? So there is a gap. Nobody asks me from my industry, not me, like the industry, what kind of resources they should produce after a 4-year BTech or after a 2 years MTech, right? So there is a gap. When we need to hire resources, they are not available. They are available with a different dimension, and our requirement is in different dimension. The sooner we close these issues, it is always better for a nation to produce more product than waiting for a longer time to produce a product.
This is the last question, sir. Last answer as well. So you can use that
different
mic.
perspective. Today, if we have to work anywhere, the best place is India. Today, if you see the whole country is totally integrated, whether integrated through the road network, through IT setup, we have a lowest cost of a high-speed bandwidth. It's the best place. It's too early to say that China is ahead, US is ahead. See, our success, digital private infrastructure, public infrastructure, UPI, huge success, right? Aadhaar, so many complaints came about all this huge database breach. What happened? Nothing happened. It's working wonderfully, right? So come back to that. What works elsewhere may not work here. We have to find our own solution the way we found elsewhere. To give an example, so internet consumes a lot of data. GPS came, that used for e-commerce, ride hailing, right? Now that same thing, like UPI, this thing happening in India, can be used for credit. The farmers, marginal people can get credit towards that. So we will find our own solutions. We don't have to copy what else somebody else has done elsewhere, right? Somebody has made large language models. Do we have to do the same thing, or should we have our own this thing? Of course, we have our own large language model. We can do it. So our priorities are different than other countries. And we have your own success in this field and other field as well. So we don't have to see that China has made DeepSeek and what we are doing. Not at all. We are see how we solving our problem And you see the ecosystem of startup in India. 20 years before, we all, engineering college, we talked about the number one criteria was to get a job, right? All of us were job seeker, right? A lot of youngsters want to become a job creator. There's a fundamental shift happening in the country. So we'll find our own solution in our own way.
That's an amazing answer. In fact, that gives a lot of hope. I wish I had a lot of time to discuss in depth, in detail as well, but due to paucity of time, I have to wind up. So, ladies and gentlemen, you have been an amazing audience. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Charan, for wonderfully taking the session ahead. You asked some amazing questions, and the time is really ripe to ponder whether we have to leverage the power of AI in a constructive way or it should be done in a negative way. But in order to achieve operational efficiencies, it is very important that we use AI in the best possible way, because no matter which sector we are in, AI is here to stay. आमे जेकोसी सेक्टर रे गले मध्य AI रो उपस्थिति, AI रो अवदान आगामी दिन रे बहुत अधिक रहिबो। तेणु AI को ठीक भाव रे व्यवहार करिबा एवं केउ बळी भाव रे AI को व्यवहार करिबा द्वारा बिजनेस बा शिल्प क्षेत्र को आमे स्केल अप करि परिबा, ऑपरेशनल एफिशिएंसी वृद्धि करि परिबा, से विषय अधिक चिंता करिवार समय आसीछि।
Definitely, Shubhajit. Now is the time that we felicitate our esteemed panelists of the session, and to do the honors, we have our dignitaries on the stage. We would request sir to please felicitate the moderator of the session, Mr. Charan Singh Barik. Kindly put your hands together, ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen, we also take this opportunity to felicitate Shri Uday Bhanudash, founder and CEO of Crystal Aerospace Private Limited, Shri Sudhir Jaiswal, founder and CEO of ESSPL Bhubaneswar, Dr. Ashwin Kumar Rotha, founder and CEO of Batway Systems Private Limited.
Now is the time for a group photograph with all the panelists on the stage with the dignitaries.
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद ज्ञापन करने को चाहिए प्रोफेसर कौर महोदय को एवं डॉक्टर रविंद्र नारायण बेहरा महोदय को आपण को शुभ उपस्थित रे समस्त वरेण्य एक्सपर्ट्स विशेषज्ञों को आमे सम्मानित करि परिछे and very rarely we do get an opportunity where we get to interact and know each other about our experiences, our past experiences, and National CEO Conclave 2025 has been a result of